You're not going to be perfect at everything. You just got to learn from it and not, come in with an ego thinking you're just going to be the best at everything. You're going to suck at some things, and that's okay.
Today's guest is a Regina-based commercial photographer who's built an impressive career working on high production shoots for brands like SaskTel, SGI, and Co-op. Adam Reiland's journey started in film school, took a detour through auto body training, and eventually led him to build a thriving photography business rooted in storytelling, strategy, and sharp creative direction. What I loved most about this conversation is how open Adam is. Not just about the big jobs and billboard wins, but about the messy beginnings, the failed wedding shoot that taught him everything, and a strobe that literally exploded on him mid-shoot. We talk about what it really takes to break into commercial photography, why relationships and referrals still matter more than Instagram likes, how to quote, license, and survive the world of big budget bids, and why being humble, prepared, and easy to work with might just be your biggest asset. If you've ever wondered what goes on behind the scenes of a six-figure shoot, or how to get your foot in the door without losing your mind, you're gonna love this one. Let's get into it. I'm so excited that you're here and that we finally get to chat. We have met before. I don't know if you remember this, but I was auditioning for a role with SaskTel, I think it was.
Right.
And I think it was a video chat as well. So we've never actually met in person.
Yes, that's right.
But now this is our second date.
Yes, exactly. And I'm a big fan of yours. I look at all your posing tips and all that stuff, and it's you're doing some great stuff. So
that's so sweet of you to say. Thank you.
No problem.
I feel like I gotta get back on that bandwagon. Creating content can be exhausting.
Yeah. But that's why I just kind of steer clear of anytime I have to do anything social media stuff. It's just painful.
It's exhausting. Plus, I recently started a new account, so now I think I'm up to 3 business accounts that I'm trying to manage, because I have a studio account and then Artist Date, and then also 4 accounts. I have 4 accounts now.
My!
So it's too much, but I think maybe I need to hire somebody.
Yeah, for sure. That's a lot to take on.
Do you have an assistant that works with you, or what's your team looking like?
So my wife, Raina, she basically works pretty much every job with me, every job I can afford to pay her to come on.
Yeah. Nice.
So we do a lot together. And then I also have not dedicated people that I work with every time, but I work with quite a bit of hair, makeup, wardrobe, set deck, and all that kind of stuff. So I have my go-to people that I usually use for those jobs, but when they're not available, sometimes I work with other people as well. I'm open to working with other people for sure.
Yeah. And Adam, tell me how long you've been doing this now, photography, and do you do videography as well?
So I've been doing it for about 15 years. Mm-hmm. And I do videography, not too much. I don't like to tell people that too much, but I am capable of it. I actually went to film school, so I kind of started wanting to make films, and then I did a little bit of it, but just kind of the money took me towards photography. Is just it just happened like that. So
tell me how you got your start. What has been your journey from? Was photography, videography, media, that sort of thing, always something that you've been interested in?
Yeah, actually, in high school, I used to make the cringiest, stupid videos before TikTok and all this stuff. We were making prank videos and all this stuff, and making short films, and just terrible stuff. But stuff that I've put away for forever and hopefully never sees the light of day.
We all have some of those.
I started there, and then thought that it was just going to be impossible to to make money off of it. So I originally was going to auto body school in Regina here to work on cars, and it just wasn't my thing. So I decided, okay, let's take a whack at it and go to film school in Regina here. So I went to the U of R film production program.
Okay.
And it was a great 4 years. Met lots of great creative people that I still work with today. So it was great for building connections and stuff. But they had one photography class that was like a film class where you get to work in a dark room and all that. And I just loved it. And people kept commenting, like, oh, this is great. This is great work. You should, do this professionally. Mm-hmm. So finally, I was, between Reina, my wife, and I were like, maybe we should try doing a wedding. So we had my sister's husband's brother was getting married, and he hired us to do their wedding, and it was awful. It was just I completely botched the whole thing. I was like shooting in bright sun and just like didn't know how to pose, didn't really know how to like comfortably shoot with my camera on manual, and it was just a disaster. But
oh no.
But you got to learn from your mistakes, and I just kept pushing on, and got hired for a couple more, and then it just continued, and then I was a couple of years later, I was just so busy that I really couldn't handle the workload that I was taking on. But
it's hard to say no
to
money, especially as a business owner.
Yeah, exactly.
There can be a lot of fear around when your next job is going to come or this or that. So you feel like, I think at the start, we're more apt to like take those jobs when they're thrown at us because of a little bit of fear-based,
Yeah, fear-based, you're worried about missing that job. And also, I feel like just you have more creative stamina when you're younger. Like, when you're into it, you're like eager to get into it, and you have all these good ideas, and you want to test them out. And after 15 years, the creative stamina kind of starts to wear thin, and you got to pick your jobs a little bit more selectively.
So Adam, you do a lot of commercial photography and studio work. What was your transition into that?
Yeah, so I was pretty heavy into weddings and, like family photos and all that stuff. I have some friends that I worked with. They have a video crew, like a commercial production company called Play Creative. And a couple of my buddies worked there from film school, and they just started making commercials, and then I was chatting with them about it. I started helping out another photographer that was in the business, and then it just learned everything I possibly could for a couple of years, and then just went all in. I moved into a studio with Play Creative, and just took off from there. Yeah.
Did you learn studio lighting in film school?
We did learn like the basics. Like, of course, our equipment at the U of R, although I think it's a lot better now, but when I went, it was still pretty old stuff that like you wouldn't really use for movies nowadays, I would say.
Okay.
But you still learn like, the different lighting techniques, and like the hair light here to separate from the background. You got like the key fill, all that stuff. The basics I learned from there, but the more advanced stuff, I would say, just learning self-taught, watching YouTube videos, taking master classes, and just experimenting on my own a lot, like just bringing in Reina and just like trying out a new lighting setup. And
it's a lot of trial and error.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I remember when I was getting started too, it was several hours, maybe hundreds of hours, just trying different light setups and testing different modifiers and seeing what you like. And when I first started, I feel like I was using pretty complicated light setups because it's like, okay, like I have 4 lights, let's use them all.
Yeah.
And then after a little while, I was like, I just like the look of one light.
Yeah.
So it's funny that it's good to practice with lots of lights and kind of learn like the look that you're most interested in. Did you have a mentor when you first were getting into it?
So when I first started getting into photography, my wife's mom is a photographer.
Really?
Shout out to Tracy Portraits in Melville. She's been going strong for like 30 something years. Like just like the woman just seems to never give up. Like she's always trying to be creative, and it's just like that's been a long time, and she's still like going out there and like testing new things and new
Good for
techniques.
her.
So
Yeah.
she was a big part of me becoming, being where I am today kind of thing. But my wife has a big influence on me. She's an amazing photographer as well. We still run Stick Productions together, which is our wedding company. Although we're trying to like slow down on it a little bit just because commercial is just, a lot busier for me. So it's harder for me to focus on that part. But she's responsible for some of our best photos on the website. So if you look at the website, like most of the good ones are from her. So, so she's pretty amazing.
Nice.
Yeah, I did assist a commercial photographer in Regina for a bit, which was probably the biggest help for me learning, how to price things, how to get clients, all that stuff. Because that honestly is the hardest part of commercial photography is like, how do you bid on a contract? Like, how, how do you even get on the list to be considered to bid on something? Like it's more challenging than the photography part for me personally.
Of course. Yeah. The whole like business end of things.
Yeah.
And it is completely different than most other photographies in that regard. And then you can get into licensing and things like that. Is that something that you do with your commercial clients? Like, do you license your images to them for a certain period of time?
Yeah. So traditionally, commercial photography should, in big markets, you should be licensing every image for like based on usage, like how much are they going to use it? Where is it going? Is it like nationwide? Is it province-wide? How long are they going to use it? Do they want it, for just a year? Well, that's going to cost less than having it forever. Small markets are a little bit trickier because the clients haven't really been taught the real, like the way to do it in the big markets. So everybody just always asks for unlimited rights. You still license every shot and you can suggest, like a time frame, but like the big crown corps and stuff, they just want like full buyouts. There's no way around it. They want the full buyout. They want to be able to use it forever. They don't want to keep track of licenses, but then they have to pay for it. Right. So,
right. You've worked with SaskTel, SGI as well.
Yeah.
What are a few other ones?
I worked with SaskTel, SGI, basically all the crown corps, like the SAS Power. I have a SAS Gaming contract. Planera, they're like a big pension plan that I've been working with lots lately. Co-op. I've done a little bit of work for the Rough Riders, as you have. Yeah, I'd say like SaskTel and SGI are kind of my biggest clients.
What is your advice or recommendation to get into the world of like commercial photography? And maybe let's even start at the very beginning, because maybe some people are even unsure what commercial photography is, like the definition of it. How would you explain it to somebody? Yeah,
so commercial photography is like basically advertising. Like if a company wants to, have some still photos for a campaign that they're going to be putting out. Like you see pictures on billboards, online, banners on websites, Facebook ads, like all that stuff. If it's a still image, that's commercial photography.
Mm-hmm. And do most of the time, do they come to you with the budget, or are they just like, hey, can you quote on this? And then you submit like a full budget on like your rate, and then like if you're doing production for it as well, like breaking that down?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Sometimes they have kind of a budget for you. This is how much I want to spend. Like the Crown Corps are usually pretty good with saying how much a job is worth. And then, you have the option to either, meet their budget, or you could try going over. If you go, I don't recommend going way under the budget, because they'll just, they won't even look at you seriously if you're way under budget. I know this for a fact because there's like, you can see previous bids online, and if they budget for like, I don't know, 20 grand for a campaign for photos, if I've seen people bid like 4 or 5 grand, and they just like won't even take you seriously.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. So that's one recommendation for sure.
Have you ever made that mistake?
Not being under budget. I've been over budget a few times, and I've won some and lost some. So yeah. And then some clients don't have any idea of what they want or what they want to spend. They'll literally just be like, hey, could we do some photos for my business? And it's like, and then how much is it going to cost? Which is my favorite thing to answer, because it's like, well, what do you want to do? Do you want models that cost a lot of money? Do you want, like hair and makeup wardrobe? Like, do we need set deck? Like, what do you need in the shoot to make it happen?
Right.
And then some people just don't have any idea, and then they'll never talk to me again. And then some people, will come up with a better plan for what exactly they want to do. And then I'll kind of make a budget. Like I have, my day rates, my license fees, and then all the other fees like retouching, post-production, all that stuff. You put it all together and send it over and see what they say.
Right. What is your recommendation for somebody that wants to get into that sort of world?
Yeah, I think like connections is the biggest thing. And you probably hear it a million times, but it is true. It's like who you know, and, building relationships with people, being, flexible, easy to work with, but like start out by, trying to get some smaller companies, that want to, maybe don't have the money that like a SaskTel or something will have, but, they want to do something cool, and it will be great for your portfolio, and you'll make a little bit of money on top of it. Like start there, start building a portfolio, show off your work, set up a meeting at agencies and just say, hey, I'm a commercial photographer, and I would love to, sit down and show you guys my work, and, bring them a book, or, print out a book with some of your work in it. That's a good way. Also just like knowing film crews, like a lot of jobs come through film crews. So, it's becoming more common. I don't really like it, but, businesses will come to a film crew and they'll say like, we want to make a TV commercial, but we also want commercial stills as well, since we want to double up on the actors are all going to be there, hair and makeup's going to be there. So you don't have to pay everything twice. It's like kind of all included in the video budget. And you just, either usually just submit your quote to the video crew. So knowing video crews is pretty key, I think, at this point in time. Yeah,
that's really interesting that you said relationships. I think that's so key. So you met a lot of these people through film school, but you just reach out. Is that kind of how it goes? Like, I guess, how else do you meet people these days?
Yeah. Well, I have I happen to have just the most amazing friend that worked at Play Creative. I'll shout out Chris Miller. He's a beauty. He just always looked out for me. When I moved in there, whenever they had like a video production job, he would always like, Adam's the guy to go to. So I would meet so many people and so many clients just from that.
Nice.
Like even sharing the same studio, right, is great because they have, agencies coming in there, they have clients coming in there. And they're talking, and I pop in and, hey, how's it going? I'm Adam. I do commercial photos. Like, super easy to connect like that. It's almost cheating a little bit because it's like brought to me, right? But there are, there are agencies like Phoenix Group, like the biggest agency in Regina. I went to them and showed them a book. I had some prints made and showed them a book, and just kind of got on their radar like that.
Right.
Yeah.
So in a way, you were kind of like pitching yourself, or maybe not even calling it pitching, but more of like a introduction. Just, hey, this is me. This is the work that I'm capable of. And I'd love to work with you, or think of me down the road. Yeah,
exactly. You kind of are trying to sell yourself a little bit. Like you obviously want to go in and don't come in there with a big ego and like, oh, I'm going to like change your lives and all this. Yeah. Like, go in there, be humble, like show them your work, like be confident, show that you're like easy to work with and you're not going to be like awkward to talk to and like, And then, one job comes and then maybe you're considered for another one, and before you know it, you're, hanging out with the clients for like golf tournaments and rider games, and you just build on that relationship, and you always try to like, pull your weight, like make sure you're not just taking, and you're also like giving back too. So.
Totally. Yeah. Do you carry business cards on you?
I used to all the time, and now I don't anymore, but I really should, because I get asked once in a while, and I'm just like, oh yeah, sorry, I just don't. So
I feel like I've spent hundreds of dollars on business cards, and they're just sitting in a desk drawer. I'm like,
that's exactly my thing. I could pull this open and show you probably like 300 business cards, just collecting dust,
Yeah, exactly. It's like, that's not even my email address anymore, but anyways, they're there.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
That's really good advice. And I would say probably for like the style of photography that you do, like learning under somebody would be so important, right? Because it is a different style, wouldn't you say? Like I don't know, when I look at your work, and if I, see behind the scenes for commercial projects in general, like photography projects, there's a lot going on. There's a lot of lighting. There's a lot of skills that you need to develop, like even in leading a team, right?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, that's probably one of the hardest things, is just like logistics and coordinating like a bunch of moving parts. Especially on like a commercial level, because it's not like you're not just working, with a makeup artist and hairstylist and stuff. You're also working with an agency, watching over your shoulder, and the client's there, and like you gotta make everybody happy. You gotta make sure everybody's comfortable and fed. Like, just that alone is kind of a big thing. So, so there's just a lot of different things that you need to know, like lighting for sure. That's a big thing in my work. It's like pretty technical, I'd say, like multiple lights usually. I try not to overdo it. Like you were saying, that sometimes you feel like you need to use the lights because you have them, but that's a process. You need to learn, when you need it, when you don't. Also, everything's like time constraints. So, like you have to work around like changing sets, changing shots, changing talent, changing wardrobe, changing hair. Like, so everything's got to be pretty on cue. Otherwise,
on schedule.
Otherwise the client starts to wonder if you know what you're doing.
Have you ever had any terrible set experiences?
Yeah, well, like I wouldn't say like terrible, but one of my I think my biggest contract ever was with a company, an agency from Vancouver,
Okay.
and that was the first time they picked me to do their photos. So I was like I was like, oh, I got to do a good job, otherwise they'll never hire me again. And one of the first shots we did, one of my lights, like the Profoto D2s, blew up outside, like literally blew up,
Oh my
like
God.
sounded like a shotgun. So that blew up and it kind of threw my whole plan off because I was like maxing out my light sources and everything. But it, like you got to learn how to problem solve and,
Yeah.
and it turned out fine. But
What the heck happened? Was it like a power issue or something?
I still
Why would that
don't
happen?
really know. Like I sent it in and they
Yeah.
said the capacitor blew up. And I guess it's like not that uncommon. Like it does happen. So I never want it to happen again because it was very loud. And if it like, I just can't imagine it like blowing up inside if like someone was
Yeah.
like, if someone was close to the light or something. Like I don't think it would hurt them, but it's like, man, I paid a lot of money
lot of
for
money.
these Profoto
Yeah.
lights and they should not blow up.
No.
But it was
Do
an
you
old house, so I don't know if there's something to do with like the electrical current or something. I'm not like an expert in that field, but
Yeah.
maybe.
It could be related.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you still use Profoto equipment
Yeah,
after that experience?
yeah. I know. I've thought about switching a few times, but yeah, I still have 5 D2s and a couple B1s for battery powered
Nice.
that I use more than I thought I would. But yeah, in a pinch, they're great to throw up on location if you don't have a direct
Yeah.
source.
What would you say has been your total investment in equipment as a commercial photographer?
Yeah. I don't even want to think about it. It's a lot. Like
Yeah.
I'd have to say probably like 60,000. Yeah, it's hard to say. Like I've accumulated all this stuff over years, so I don't really
Right. But like, I
yeah.
guess the D2s are 3,000 each, depending if you're getting the 1,000 or the 500. So if you have 5 of those, right?
Yeah,
Like,
that it just
adds
adds
up
up.
super quick.
Yeah. Well, even just
Yeah.
like C stands like behind me there, like yeah, those combination stands, and then MacBook Pro, and then the
Right.
iMac, and then you
Yeah.
have
The
all-
software too.
yeah,
even.
and then just Profoto, like anything Profoto's overpriced, just crazy expensive.
It is more. Yeah.
Yeah, then you have like you need wheelie carts for bringing equipment in on location. You need a wheelie cart with like big rubber tires because you're
Yeah.
going on like dirt locations sometimes, or like rugged
Right.
locations. Yeah, you need Apple boxes. You need like tons of modifiers. You need flags, to block light. There's just tons. I even have an ice fishing tent for clients, because sometimes if it's like hot or cold, you stick the client in an ice fishing tent.
Oh, that's smart.
You
Yeah.
rig up a monitor so they can see what you're shooting.
Yeah.
You rig up either heat, or you open the windows if it's hot out. It's nice and dark so they can see the screen. And then I'm off, shooting outside and in the elements, and then they're happy. And
Yeah.
so you need lots of different stuff.
What has been your favorite commercial job to work on?
Yeah. Oh man, I've done a lot of cool jobs. Like a lot of them are, they might not fulfill everybody super, they're not like super creative all the time. Like SaskTel stuff is usually pretty fun. It's usually, like what cell phone companies do, like people looking at phones and stuff. But a lot of like the traveling is great. Like I went to Alberta for a co-op shoot, which was super fun because it was just like, it was chaos, like, so, like way too little time. But it was, fun just being there and shooting in Alberta and by the mountains, and hanging out with another film crew barbershop. So they were with me for the whole shoot, which was fun, like going out for beers after the shoot and going out for good suppers. And It was all good for the actual shoots though. Like the taxi shoot that I was on, that big one that I told you where my light blew up. That was a great shoot. It was like top to bottom built 100% from the photography plan. Like the house was empty, and the set deck person, Carolyn Harris, she's like just the best set deck person. If anybody needs set deck, she works on like all the big movies. She's just amazing. But she basically rebuilt like the whole house for me, which she probably hates me for at this point. But yeah, she did such an amazing job. So it was really cool just seeing like a whole set come together like from scratch. Like there's nothing existing. So that one was cool. I liked, there's a couple shoots that I did up north at like mining facilities and stuff that were just like super cool. I got to fly to all the territories. So we did like a campaign for a agency out of Ottawa and Vancouver, and they flew us to the Yukon, Northwest Territories, and Iqaluit. Or none of it, sorry. And it was just cool being like, out in the elements and seeing some new places. And yeah.
That is really cool. I want to know more about like the whole process before going into the shoot. Like how much creative input do you have? Do they come to you with an idea, and then how do you kind of bring it to life?
Yeah. So every client is a little bit different. For the big, like for the Crown Corps and stuff, they always have an idea. So they're basically working with an agency, an advertising agency, to figure out what they need. Like, what do they want to have for media this year? Do they want to make a commercial? Do they want to have some stills? They figure all that stuff out. They figure out the concepts. They'll give you like a high level kind of idea, like, all right, they'll make a mock-up or something like, we want models with like, colorful clothing on like a colorful background, holding these phones for this part. We're advertising, prepaid cell phone plans or something like that. So they give you kind of an idea of what it's going to be like. They'll give you kind of like an estimate of what they think the cost is. And then you'll have to write up a little proposal, basically saying who you are, what your experience is, what assets you have. Like, can you fund a shoot? Because, shoots cost money. It might cost you 10 grand to do a shoot, and you have to be able to fund that in advance. So can you do that? Can you, do you have like a crew? So all that stuff you'll have to figure out. And then you'll also have to write your approach. So you're going to have to tell them how you're going to go about completing the project. And then you throw in your bid. And if you win it, they'll send you a nice little email, and it will say, congratulations, you won this contract. And if you lose, you'll also get the same email, but saying that you lost. So,
congratulations, you lost the contract.
Yeah. So, and I've been on both sides, and so it does suck sometimes, because sometimes you'll put in a lot of work, just in the RFP. Like you won't really want this job, and it's a big contract. Like it's going to be great for you. And you put in all this work, and then you just don't win it. And it's like, so all that work, I spent a week on this and I didn't win. So it's like, sometimes that happens and it sucks, but it happens to everybody. So
how much lead time do they give you before a shoot? Say for like SaskTel or something.
They usually give you, so SaskTel has a bunch of different, areas, like a couple different sections. Like they'll have like the business section. So I have a contract with them. So basically they can like tell me anytime, hey, we're doing a shoot, and like, can we make this happen in 2 weeks kind of thing? I'm like, yeah, sure, we'll figure it out. But the other things I don't have a contract for. So they have to get RFP'd every single time, unless it goes through a video crew. If it's a
Okay.
photo specific job and it's over $2,500, they have to go to tender it. Like, so they'll have to ask photographers for to submit a proposal. So those
Okay.
ones you get a lot more lead time. Usually it's a couple months. Like they'll give you like a couple weeks to do the proposal. They'll decide in like a week, and then usually you have like probably a month or so to prepare, depending on the complexity of it. But yeah, so it's kind of a mixture.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's move into, so shoot day arrives, and so you have your concept and everything like that. How do you think about lighting it?
Yeah, so you have to prepare for it by scouting the location. So that's one thing I like to do is go into the location beforehand, take some test photos, like get somebody to come with you and have them stand in like the area or sit in the area that you're going to be shooting. Try to look how the natural light's coming in, because like one way I like to light is just enhancing natural light. So, sometimes natural light inside is just not strong enough. It can't freeze motion as well as strobe. So, like you want to kind of, if there's a window, like let's use that direction to put your strobe with a big soft source so it looks natural. Sometimes even like maybe the window's to the side and the light is a little too sidey, right? So maybe you can bring the light in the same direction, but you can just sneak it around a little bit, cheat it. So it's like, giving you more Rembrandt style instead of like sidey style. So you have a lot more flexibility in that way, and the scout will kind of determine how you go about lighting that. Yeah.
Right. And I suppose time of day would also be a large
Exactly.
factor.
So there's a great app that I have called Sunseeker.
Okay.
I don't know if you have it, but I recommend everybody just get it. I'm pretty sure it's free, but it will tell you exactly where the sun is going to be on any given day. At any time. So you can set it for the specific time. It'll actually give you like a 3D view. So if you're by a window, you can look out the window, hold the phone up, and it will show you exactly where the sun is going to line up with the window at what time.
That's awesome.
So you can plan your day based on that. Like if you want the sunlight coming through the window, great. Time it. You can time it like that. Maybe you don't. Maybe you want to like make your own light. Maybe it's like, a midday shot, but, it's in the morning. So the sunlight's coming through. Okay. Well, you're going to need to, somehow diffuse the window light coming in and create like, soft midday light.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's talk about post a little bit. So after your shoot day, what does your post processing look like?
Yeah. So usually I would, load everything up on Capture One and kind of go through everything, call the photos down into, a small selection of each shot. Like commercial photography, you're usually working on like just a few photos in a day. You're not working on like weddings where you're like trying to get 500 good photos. Like commercials, like, you might get 5 photos for the entire day. So you're looking at each 5 of, one of those sections, and you're picking out like a few good options from each. You would send those to the client, or the agency, ask them, if they want to see, more options, if they're good with the ones that you gave them, then they'll usually just select something, out of those, proofs. And then once they do that, they'll give me some notes, usually, kind of some retouching notes, like, can you remove this out of the background, or can you kind of, change this pillow color, or who knows? They'll give me some notes, and then I take those, into Capture One, and I just do a full retouch and send them over. Usually there's, like if they're happy, then there won't be any revisions. Sometimes there's revisions where they maybe change their mind about something, or like something tweaked, go back in, change it.
Yeah. So you do your retouching in Capture One?
So I use Capture One for basically processing the raw. So all my adjustments will be in there, like for highlights, shadows, the color temperature, like all that stuff I do in Capture One, and then the retouching part I do in Photoshop. So anything that that has to be removed from the photo, or any of the more complicated kind of like composites, like putting
Right.
multiple photos together, I'll do that all in Photoshop.
Yeah.
Yeah, and a lot of commercial photographers have their own retoucher. So it's in big markets, especially, they wouldn't do their own retouching. I just love retouching, so I do it myself, and I don't care. I just want to do it. So
Did you learn that yourself? Are you self-taught?
yeah, all self-taught. So
Yeah.
like I watched some creative live, done all that stuff, and YouTube, and then anytime, it comes from just not being afraid to try it yourself, and there's literally a YouTube video for everything that you want to do. So it's just a matter of getting a job where you need to learn a certain technique, and then you learn it on the fly kind of thing. So
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Did you hear? Are you signed up for Capture One updates?
I think I finally caved and got the monthly subscription. So yeah, I think that includes all the updates, because I used to just buy it for the year, and then I was just like,
right.
Yeah.
Because they're launching some new features, like some new retouching features. I've signed up for the tutorial on it in a couple weeks, and I'm excited to see what they've improved.
Oh, nice. Yeah, I haven't really looked at any updates recently, so
yeah. It should be good. I'm excited for it. And do you deliver your images in like just JPEG format to your clients?
It depends what they ask for. Sometimes, most of the time they want like full res JPEGs, or even like a TIFF file. TIFF files are just so huge that they're not the most convenient, but some clients want the ability to like make multiple versions of it, or maybe their team wants to do something with it after, so they like a TIFF would be more appropriate in that sense. But if it's just going like straight to market, then a JPEG's totally fine.
Do you have any billboards up around Saskatoon or Regina that we can look out for?
I know there's lots up right now. I don't know about Saskatoon, but there will be the next quarter of the SaskTel No Strings campaign comes out. So this one is I did one last year, and then I just did one this year. So that quarter should be coming out right away. And it will basically be like it should be a solid pink background with two people dressed in like crazy colored clothes. So that will be a SaskTel one that should pop up. I'm not sure exactly what the media buy is for it, but it should be on some billboards, and you'll probably see it online, like if you're scrolling through TikTok or Reels. A lot of the times it shows up on there.
That's exciting. I feel like there's nothing like seeing your work in print, especially in large format print.
Yeah, it is super cool. That was like one of the biggest signs that I felt like I kind of like made it in a way, as like seeing a billboard with my work on it. Like I felt so proud. You got to go up to the billboard and take your photo by it.
Exactly.
The thumbs up kind of thing. Now it's
Totally.
like, it's still super cool. Like now it's more like when you see it on a super board in like a really good location. That's like kind of impressive now, because it's like, that the client spent a lot of money to put it there.
Yeah. Do you have any final advice for a photographer just starting out?
I think one of the biggest things is just not being afraid to fail. Like you're going to fail at some things, right? You're not going to be perfect at everything. And you just gotta learn from it, and not come in with an ego thinking you're just gonna be the best at everything. Like, you're gonna suck at some things, and that's okay. And that's I still suck at some things, so it's just like you gotta learn every day. And I still learn something new. Like pretty much every shoot, I learn something new. So never stop learning. You kind of have to be obsessive about photography. You kind of have to, do some things that you're not going to make money on, but, like go test out some things. If you have an idea, test it out, like learn.
Yeah.
One thing I would say is don't focus so much on social media presence. In my opinion, I think people think likes are, equal dollars, and they just don't. And, especially in commercial photography, nobody cares, about your social media following. It's great, it's not a bad thing, but to put so much energy in it, and, me personally, it makes me always compare myself to others. If I'm looking at social media, I'm like, oh, this guy, he has 3,000 follows and I only have 1,000. Who cares?
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
I look at it are you successful? Are you winning jobs? Are you creating stuff? Are you making good money? That's the definition of success for me. Social media follows and likes, I could honestly care less. If the jobs are coming in, then what does it matter?
Absolutely. It's focusing on the right things, being productive and working towards that goal, or just even working towards getting better.
Yeah, exactly.
Whether that be in your craft or as a business person, or how to better communicate with a team, how to lead a team, versus just, the doom scroll and focusing on the negative aspects of social media, which unfortunately I wish I I was perfect and didn't fall into that. But every day, just trying to be at least 1% better than what you
for
were.
sure. And maybe some types of photography, that you're following, maybe does matter more, because I'm working with other professionals, creative directors, account managers, marketing managers and stuff like this. They're not looking at Instagram to see who they should hire for a photography job.
Exactly. Yeah.
But maybe, for I don't know, other stuff like weddings and stuff, maybe you get more actual clients following you. But I tend to find more photographers follow photographers, and they're not going to pay you money to do anything. So
right. No, that's a good point.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I would say, depending on what style of photography you do, I would, if you're a wedding photographer, constantly being out there and putting your work forward is very important.
Yeah,
to
for sure.
Continue showing that you're actively working.
Relevant, and you're keeping up with the times and stuff.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Sure.
Versus commercial photography, where a lot goes on in other ways, like you said, in person, making and building those relationships.
Yeah.
And even the pitching aspect, like you said, it could take you a week to build out a proposal, and just being active that way. So that makes a lot of sense. So Adam, tell me, where do you see yourself 5 to 10 years? Do you have any big goals that you're working towards?
Oh man. I really want to diversify my client base, just to be a little more private, I guess, private companies, rather than rely so much on crowns. I love the Crown Corps, and I hope everything, keeps going the way it is. And they keep hiring photographers and people from Saskatchewan. I think that's just great. But you never know what's going to happen with Crown Corps. Governments change, policies change, and we've seen some of the Crown Corps go by already. So I want to make sure that I'm, set up for the future by maybe getting some more private companies, the co-ops and some of the potash mining companies and stuff like that. Maybe even some federal contracts. I'd love to work for even the armed forces or anything like that. I think would be so cool. So there's so much potential in photography, in commercial photography. There's just the sky's the limit. Yeah. You can do a little bit of work. You can do huge $100,000 jobs. Literally the sky's the limit. So
how many jobs in a year would you say that you do, commercial jobs?
Yeah, I was just thinking about this. I probably do I would say maybe 3 or 4 big kind of contracts. I don't know if I should say like the amount, but it would be like, well, what does it matter? Like north of 20,000 would be like a bigger job. Like I've had up to like $50,000 photo jobs in like with 2 days of work. So like maybe a couple of those, 3 of those a year. And then anything like between 10 and 20, maybe another like 5 or 6. I don't know.
Right. That sounds like a lot of money, but really like there's so much that goes into that. Like that could take you like weeks of work. You know what I mean? So before anyone is like, whoa, like
no. So that's my budget, right? So like I'm not making that amount. Like I still need to, like I pay everybody. So like this doesn't come from the client. So when, the last shoot I did for SaskTel, we had 8 models from an agency. So you have like, you got to pay your models, you got to pay an agency fee. I had hair and makeup, I had wardrobe, I had to buy a ton of wardrobe. So like that all comes out of my pocket, out of my budget, I should say.
Yeah,
so like the client pays for it, but like it comes out of my budget, right? So when I say like, if it's a $20,000 job, like a lot, like pretty much half of it is gone to
cost, expenses,
Yeah, and then like a lot of smaller jobs, like between $3,000 to $7,000, like tons of that stuff. I probably do, I don't know, in total maybe like 25 kind of like actual shoots, and then like lots of like headshot jobs and stuff like that. Yeah,
seems like a good place to be.
Yeah.
Like doing that amount of jobs seems like manageable, and you're still getting, paid well and feeling fulfilled. Yeah.
I would say it's, I get more time off than when I did weddings. Weddings just take up so much time, so much more work. Commercial, you work on weekdays, like no client's going to want to work on a weekend usually. So you get your weekends off, you get some summer weekends, which is nice. So a little more flexible. You're working with professionals, so they usually understand, like they've been on shoots before. They understand like what goes into it. They're not going to be like a bridezilla or something where they're like freaking out on things that you can't control.
Right.
And then most of the time you can control like all your lighting and stuff. So on a wedding day, you basically have to work with what you have. And that's quite stressful. But
it is.
When you get to kind of build it yourself, then you know what you're going to get.
Yeah.
Although working with clients can be a little more nerve-wracking because they're putting a lot of money and time and investment into your, what you're going to give them. So there's a lot of pressure on shoot days to be able to perform and give them what they want.
Yeah. Adam, where can people find you and get in touch with you? Maybe also see your work.
Yeah. Just my website's good. You can see a lot of stuff on there. It's just adamreiland.com. That's REILAND. And Instagram, Adam_Reiland_photography. Yeah, so you can see my commercial work there. You can see Raina, my wife, and my wedding stuff at Stick_Productions. And a bit of our video stuff that we do on there as well.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Adam. You are like a wealth of knowledge, and I feel like I learned so much.
Sweet. Well, thanks for having me, and the feeling's mutual. I learned so much from you as well on your Instagram stuff, so I appreciate you, and hopefully we get to work together someday.
Yes, let's make this happen. Thank you so much for tuning into this episode of Artist Date. If you enjoyed it, please take a moment to subscribe and leave a rating. It really helps more creatives like you discover the show. Don't forget to follow along on Instagram at Artist Date Podcast for behind-the-scenes updates, inspiring content, and more. New episodes drop every Tuesday. Can't wait to connect with you again soon.